Hi everybody. This is my first video. I think it's customary to do some kind of introduction for your first video, but I'm not going to do that because I have something a little bit more pressing to talk about. Quickly though, my name is Hyacinth. I have been doing some form of witchcraft for about 10 to 15 years now, and I am soon to be training with a British traditional Wiccan group. And I also recently discovered that there are lots of witches on the internet. Somehow I missed this fact. I spend all day on the computer, all day on the internet for work, and then I go home and think about witchcraft stuff, and I never thought to combine those two. I'm an academic, and it's the beginning of the summer vacation, so I have a lot of unstructured time, which means I've been spending a lot of time binging on YouTube videos and blogs and so on, and I thought I would contribute something. I'll do more formal introductions, tell you more about myself later, but what I want to actually talk about today is the importance of doing positive, affirmative actions. So this is partially in response to an issue that was raised on a Wiccan forum that caused me some concern. The specific details aren't super important, but basically someone posted that they were concerned about a friend of theirs who was in an abusive relationship, and they were wondering whether it would be ethical to do some kind of spell work to get them out of it or to curse the abuser. Now, a lot has already been said about things like the Threefold Law and the Wiccan Rede, and you're free to believe whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to believe about those matters. I tend to agree with what the blogger Gardnerians has said about this, and I'll post the links about that below. But you are free to believe what you want to believe about that. And that's not what this video is about. What this video is about is how you apply those ethical codes to that particular kind of situation. A situation where someone is in potential immediate danger, and what is the moral thing for you to do. Now, obviously, this is my opinion, and people can disagree with me about this. But here are two things that I do not think are the answer to that situation, right? One thing that I do not think is the answer to that situation, right? One thing that I think is not a moral course of action is to wait and let karma dish it out, right? If you are in a situation where someone you know or you love is in a potentially dangerous situation, I don't think the ethical thing to do is to sit back and let karma work it out. If you believe in karma, that's fine. That's good. That's great. And if you believe the Threefold Law will eventually punish people who do evil, that's fine too. But in a situation like that, right, if karma exists, we don't know the time scale on which karma functions, right? The religions that we borrow the notion of karma from believe in multiple reincarnations and karma being meted out over multiple reincarnations, right? It might be the case, if you believe in karma, right, that a person will be punished for their bad actions in 1,000 years from now, in 10 lives from now, right? What that means is if your friend is in a potentially life-threatening situation with an abuser, that person might get killed before karma comes and metes out punishment on the abuser, right? I do not think it's an ethical action to sit back and let divine justice handle a bad situation. I mean, I just don't think it's good to sit back and relax. And when we talk about magic, right, we often stress the importance of coupling spiritual and magical work with mundane action, right? If you cast a spell to get a job, but you don't write any job applications, you're not going to get a job, right? If you cast a spell to bring a lover into your life and you stay all day in your apartment, like I do, you're not going to meet anybody, right? So it doesn't seem to me that this is any different, right? If you're worried about your friend who's in an abusive relationship, you do something about it. You call the police, right? You find some way to get them out of there. You take mundane action. In my opinion, magic is something you do to enhance a mundane action. If you're not going to do the mundane action, doing magic isn't going to help anything. This is all by way of saying This is all by way of saying letting karma handle something is not going to cut it. Doing magic by itself is not the best you can do, right? The best you can do, and I think the most ethical thing to do when someone is in a potentially life-threatening situation, is to take mundane action first and supplement that with magic if that's what you think will work, right? The other thing that I think is not an answer to that kind of situation is refusing to interfere, refusing to do things that are in your arsenal because it might bring you negative karma. So here's what I mean by that. And this is so in kind of the popular understanding of the threefold law, if you do some kind of negative action, then you will be punished three times, three times the amount of the bad action that you did. Right? That's what the popular understanding of the threefold law. Again, I tend to actually agree with Gardnerians and say that actually isn't the right understanding of it, but you are free to believe in the threefold law if that is part of your practice. But if I were in a situation where someone that I loved was being threatened, right, had a life-threatening situation, and there was something that I could do that would bring myself into potential danger, I would do it, right? Right? I mean, if I was, I mean, this is something that, you can disagree with this, right? But if my, partner, which doesn't exist right now, or my mom, or my, child, who doesn't exist right now, was about to be stabbed by someone or shot by somebody, you bet your ass I'm going to get in there, or I'm going to do something to try to prevent that, even if it puts me at risk, right? So what I'm trying to say here, right, is you might think, or you might believe, right, that doing some action or casting some curse or interfering in some way might bring you negative karma, but that's something that you have to calculate, right? Is it important? I mean, if this is someone that you care about, in my opinion, it's worth bringing that kind of negative repercussion on you. Failing to do something that could help others because it will cause you difficulty in the long run seems a little selfish to me, to be completely honest. To be very blunt. I know that sounds very harsh, but, I wouldn't. This is a situation, I think, where you could say something like, casting, black magic or negative magic or doing some kind of negative interference might cause you some difficulty, but that's taking responsibility, right? Being able to come to terms with whatever negative repercussions that follow from your actions is something that a person could, I think, in this situation, very reasonably and ethically undertake. Anyway, very heavy stuff. I'll do a real normal introduction, I hope, in the near future, hopefully about something a little bit more fun and light. But the point I'm trying to make here is just, our action. One of the things that I think, if you were to ask me what Wiccan ethics is taking responsibility for actions, knowing what the consequences of your actions are, and trying to do those actions which cause the least amount of harm ultimately, right? Sometimes that might be putting yourself in situations that might be bad. Sometimes that might be choosing the lesser of two evils. And sometimes that might be calling the fucking police, right? To me, that just, I don't know what else to say about that, And sometimes casting negative magic, which might end up causing bad repercussions for you, might still be the most ethical course of action. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. You are free to disagree. That's fine. That's totally, that's fine. Anyway, I will talk to you again soon. Hopefully, again, I will say something a little bit less upsetting and confrontational next time. All right, bye.